Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Our first story is about a bad manager in more than one way. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You want me to show up when? So I got out of this job a few months ago, and I figured at least a few of you would enjoy. Basically, I used to work for a micromanaging goof who always had to have things his way. When I was hired, I was told to show up at 7:30 every day, which was fine. I'm not a morning person, but I made it work. I got there on time. From there, I proceeded to wait until 8 for everyone else to get done shooting the crap and start working. Literally everyone would stand outside smoking, talking, not working. So to save the company some money, I'd show up at 8. Nobody noticed. For about 4 to 5 months, it was this way. Then my boss caught on, told me and another guy who had the same idea as me that we needed to show up on time, which was fine. We showed up on time again and sat around while others smoked, did whatever. Most of the stuff we had to work on was multi-person lifts because of weight/size, etc. Well, those 30 minutes every day added up. I'd have to estimate that the two of us combined to cost the company a few thousand a year over the following years just by showing up on time. And our second story. When HR takes a dislike to you. Some years ago, I worked for a company that made parts for cars. We mostly made parts for the aftermarket, but we also had a few OEM customers. I had ended up controlling some of the machines that mostly did parts for the OEM customers. It had reached the point where, due to the laziness of my immediate supervisor, I made sure the work was done in order of priority, monitored, and requested orders for machine consumables, requested parts from other departments so orders could be finished, and the salesperson responsible for the customer would come directly to me if he needed something in a hurry. Basically, I was doing my job and the parts of my supervisor's job that related to me. I didn't mind doing this, even though I wasn't being paid to do half of it, as it pretty much let me do my own thing without some idiot, my supervisor, getting in the way. Our main OEM customer had to redesign all the parts we made to comply with new regulations that had come in, and so along with our development department, we proceeded to make and supply sample parts to customer specs for them to test and approve. This was a slow process that could take months of back and forth before they settled on a final product. This had been going on for many months, where my time was split between developing the new parts and making sure existing orders were completed on time. Up until this point, HR was covered by someone that had also had other roles in the company. For whatever reason, they decided it was time to get someone specifically for the role and employed someone from outside the company for the position. After HR had started, the company decided to look at the way people were paid. Up until this point, everyone in a production role was paid the same no matter their ability. So machine operators were paid the same as someone that was a setter/operator, my official job title. They decided some of the more capable people would get a pay raise and be given a new job title of machine setter. It wasn't much better, but it was better than nothing. I was one of those people. One of the things I had a habit of doing was if I was in the middle of doing something, say setting up for a part, I would finish that before going for my break, which meant I didn't always have my break at the allotted time with the rest of my department. Nobody had previously had a problem with this, but for some reason, HR didn't like it. It was raised in a meeting by HR that I did this. They were basically told to keep their nose out as I was getting the work through, and that was all that mattered. They didn't like this, but were overruled, so couldn't do anything about it. A few weeks after all this happened, it was coming up to a bank holiday weekend, and they were looking for people to work on the bank holiday Monday. They weren't offering anything in the way of incentive beyond normal overtime rates, so I said no thanks. Admittedly, I would have refused even if they'd offered double or triple time. On the Friday, I was called into the office by my supervisor in HR because of refusing to work the bank holiday. HR accused me of being selfish and letting the team down by refusing to work. HR pointed out how other people did more overtime than me and were still willing to come in on the Monday. To that, I basically said, good for them, and I still wouldn't be doing it. This was when HR smugly brought up the fact that I'd recently been given a pay raise, and I was risking that by refusing. They had given the pay raise in the form of a bonus instead of on the hourly rate, so it wouldn't be easy for them to stop paying it. My response to this was to tell them they could take their bonus if they wanted, and in return, I would only set and operate the one machine and do none of the extra work I'd been doing. Thinking they were being clever, they said fine. That's what I could do if I was still unwilling to work the Monday. My supervisor didn't look too happy in the slightest at this decision. So that's exactly what I was going to do. I went and informed those that needed to know the situation and that if they needed anything, they were to see either one of the other setters or the supervisor. So after enjoying my bank holiday weekend, I went in on the Tuesday morning and proceeded to set my plan into action. I went on a work-to-rule policy. I did only the bare minimum of what was required of me. Anyone that requested anything outside my pay grade was immediately informed to see one of the setters or the supervisor. One of the key factors in my plan was that the machine that did the vast majority of the work for the OEM customers wasn't the one I was running. This was also the machine that 90% of the redesigns were being done on. After about 6 relaxing days, the production manager came to see me. He took me for a walk outside and asked me to go back to what I was doing before. The extra money I wasn't being paid would be backdated. He also said HR had been ordered that if anything came up in regards to me, it had to be run by him first. I later found out that the production manager had just come from a meeting where both the heads of sales and development had raised the issue to the company director. After ripping HR a new one, he told the production manager to get it sorted. I never had a run-in with HR again after that. Apart from a few dirty looks, they completely avoided me to the point where they would go out of their way to avoid having to interact with me. They lasted for less than 6 months before being replaced. Just an edit to thank everyone for the responses. Never thought it would do as well as it has. In regards to the company I work for, it ceased trading some years ago. It had gone under a couple of times before that. Because of that, the main OEM customer decided to pull the plug. They wanted a more stable company. That was the final nail in the coffin. And our last story. Ex-wife got what she deserved. Wife and I got together in July of 2007. July 5th to be exact. We actually celebrate that anniversary more than the wedding one. We're not really normal. It was ex-wife's idea, sort of. Wife needed a place to stay, so ex-wife suggested she move in with me. Ex-wife just didn't expect things to get serious, and she wasn't happy. She just got remarried at the time, so WTF. Wife and I have been together 13 years, married 6. Like I said, we got together in July 2007. The company I worked for got bought out and took over in October. Our last day was December 1st of 2007. I decided I deserved to sit on my butt for a year before seriously looking for work. This is important, I guess. So come spring, and ex-wife is on the same softball team as wife's best friend. Ex-wife keeps going on about how she can't wait till I die so she can kick wife out of her house. Nice, huh? Lawyer friend says as long as her name is still on the house, she can. Divorced or not. I need to get her to sign a quit-claim deed to get her name out of there. And we can refinance to get her name off the loan too. So I tell her that when I can't make the payments any longer, being out of work for 6 months, that they'd come after her. Not a lie. And I/wife weren't even close to losing said house. Ex-wife doesn't like to work, but her new hubby bought her an 2004 40th anniversary Mustang that she works to make payments on. Her dream car. Sure, now she works. Didn't when we were married, LOL. Soon after getting the house refinanced, we found out that ex-wife was still on my car insurance. She was enjoying my multi-vehicle and house discount. Oh hell to the no. And since I've been with the same company for 30 years, I asked a little favor, take her off, put wife on, but after notifying the state and the lien holder that she no longer has car insurance, maybe they could wait a couple days before mailing X notice. Banks love the chance to insure you for at least double or more. For those of you not in the state bank/credit unions, demand you keep full coverage insurance on the car in case it's stolen, wrecked. You get the idea, right? Now, the big plus was when her name was still being on the house. It gave her a great credit rating, but for some reason, after the banks and everyone else she got loans from found out she didn't have access to the house, all her rates and payments went up. And yup, they can do that, or demand the loan be paid in full. Part 2 of the revenge. I know what you're thinking. All that and that's not it? Sad, huh? Anywho, driving home from work one day, I did find a new job. I drove past the bank that had ex-wife's car loan, and there it be, all shiny and white just sitting in their parking lot. I knew what that meant, so I went inside to have a little chat. By law, they have to wait 30 days for you to get caught up on your payments or they'll put it up for auction. Big hassle for them. Also by law, they can't tell you what the highest bid is, but if you agree to pay off the remainder of the loan, they'll be happy. At least it was worth more than what she owed. But I would have gone over a little. So yeah, on day 31, the new wife and I were driving home with the ex-wife's new car. And what made it even better, the ex-wife came in on day 32 with the money to catch it up, and they told her who bought it. My number 2 son said she cried all the way home. Oh, life is good sometimes. It ain't much, but it put a smile on our faces. Edit. Ex-wife was remarried but thought she could bounce back and forth between beds. And the biggie, we had to do it DNA on all 3 of our boys for reasons I won't go into, and none of them are mine. They still call me dad, and they're still my kids. Hell, the youngest, now 19, has nothing to do with ex-wife, calls her by name. I hope that clarifies a couple things. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.